A penny for his thoughts about Trump getting rid of the penny. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on a choice making a mandate. Get it on. Chris DiStefano back in studio. Good to see you, my friend.
Look at us. We're here, baby. I was here an hour early.
I know. It's the car. We should get into that because it's a part of show business that has always driven me insane, and it used to be more prevalent.
Right.
So in show business, they want eyes on you all the time. That's the whole thing.
Right.
And so you go, what time's the taping? They go 4:00. They go, what time do I need to be there? Noon.
Right.
And then you go, why 4 hours early? And they go, hair and makeup. And I go, that's 8 minutes. There's no
my guys.
My hair is just my hair.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
You know what I think too? A lot of this now with just how easy it is to just book yourself on an app, book a flight, book a car. It's almost like there's too many. You pay people to make your life harder. Where it's like I'm now giving away more of my money when if I could just do this myself, which I very easily could on these apps, I would be at the place on time. I'm not an asshole. I know where I'm supposed to be and what time I'm supposed to be there.
Yes.
So I could just get the car myself. I can book the flight myself. I'll sit in the seat I want. You'll have my Delta Sky Miles attached. It's just, but yet you're taking money from me to get in the way.
They want to know where you are. So what happens is they go, you're doing Bill Maher's show or whatever. They go, they'll send the car at noon. I'll go, I'll just drive myself. They'll send the car. I'll drive myself because they want a guy reporting where you are and. Like we were talking about, and it always drives me nuts. I don't like having the guy wait. They always do have the guy wait.
Yeah.
But with Waze, no more excuses, right? Because you can tell in advance it's going to take 18 minutes or 26 minutes.
Well, dude, I have a whole day of stuff I got to do tomorrow too, and they already told me that they're moving all my cars up 1 hour because of possible mudslides and rain. I'm like, guy. Then whatever. I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. to do something I have to do at 9.
I know, but it's a good sign. It means you've arrived. It's a showbiz thing. Even if you arrive an hour early, it means you've arrived.
You've arrived. Yeah,
you've arrived.
Yeah, they put me in the nice Escalade. It is nice. I was deeply farting into this beautiful 2025 Escalade seats.
Oh, I got some fart humor. I'm going to highlight that because
I
got some fart humor coming your way.
Amazing. I gave myself pink eye the other day farting into my phone because I like to record the farts and send it to my group chat. And then I took a call and I got pink eye, but it's gone now.
I got pink eye too, but I don't think it was from farting into my phone. But and guys love farts, right? I love a fart story. All right. Well, now I'm going to skip to it because we're talking about farting. Farting has brought, some of the greatest. Okay, you're a professional comedian. I'm a professional comedian. And then people sometimes will go, what makes you laugh? And they'll go, you like Bill Burr? And I'll go, yeah, he's fine, but the guy at the Costco who farts into the intercom, that's me. That's when I laugh the hardest.
Me too. And it's like you look at even the greatest, I like George Carlin's like one of my favorites, legend. If you watch his specials, very often he would have like a special about how like HIV is taking over the planet and then a fart joke right away because he knew that's the crux. That's what makes us laugh.
Well, the other day, and I mean a couple of weeks ago, somebody sent me a guy farting to the tune of a Chris Isaac song.
Ooh.
And I don't know if you've seen it. No. It made me laugh. And then I added my own song to it. And then my friend Mike added a song to it. It's kind of a mashup. But,
okay.
But we will find that. We also have, speaking of farting, I think the last time you came in here, I was talking about a man show bit I did that sort of had your name on the end of it. Was I talking to you about that?
No. Not that I remember.
Weirdly, it's not your last name exactly, but I did a bit called Dr. Stefano's Anal Emporium.
Oh, yes, we did talk about this.
I must have, because every time your name comes up, I picture Dr. Stefano's Anal Emporium. All right, so we'll find the fart thing.
Yes.
I have so many things to talk to you about. You mentioned off the air that after this, or like on Friday, you're heading to San Fran.
Yep.
I am doing a show in San Luis Obispo, slow. And they always warn you when you go places, like, don't call it San Fran. You know, they don't like it. You can call it SF, or don't call it slow. Call it San Luis, or call it slow, but fuck off.
Yeah.
Everyone fuck yourself. Who cares what your fucking town? I'm from North Hollywood. Call it whatever the fuck you want.
I don't care if my shows are sold out there, so I'll do what I want. I don't care. America's back.
Right. All right. We have the fart mashup.
Yes.
If you like farting, buckle up, because you're going to enjoy this.
I mean, here's the thing, too, with farts is whoever the creator is, whoever it is you believe, they have to have a sense of humor, too, because that sound can only be created by the design. You have to make a very tight hole, a very small circle, and then produce a lot of gas, because if they made the assholes bigger and wider, we wouldn't get this sound. So that sound is there for a reason. There's no humans from the beginning of time have thought that was funny, and that's by design.
I would say male humans did. Females, not so much. Yeah. They've never really, and it's weird when you think they share. Like, you know, I got used to hanging around with Kimmel a lot, and you're doing stuff with Kimmel, right?
Yep.
He loves farting so much. Yeah. So much. And I remember once I was with my girlfriend early in the I don't know if this ever happened. Well, okay, so there's girlfriend farts. There's the one where you're used to sleeping alone.
Right.
Could be for a year or 2 years, and then you get into a relationship, and the first couple of nights she sleeps over, you're asleep.
Right.
And you're used to just letting them rip because you're not used to any company in bed. That's a danger.
Right.
I was used to being alone, and I was driving with my girlfriend, new girlfriend, and I let one fly in the car, and my hand instinctively went down and wafted up toward my face. And she was looking at me, and she goes, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" And I thought real fast, and I said, "I just farted. You want me to put my head between my legs? I'm driving a car. Right. How else am I going to get it to my face?" I got on the offense.
Yes,
is what I did.
Smart.
Because
you know, it's what it. If they want to be with you, they have to know if you're a guy that farts. I'm a guy that farts. I have daughters now. All my daughters fart.
Funny,
you know, like I have a 9-year-old. She rips farts in class. We've gotten, you know, her mom's gotten calls to my girl. You know, my wife.
The public fart is the best. The
Number one.
The rip in class.
Oh, the best. I used to wait to when we would play high school. Our bleachers were wooden benches, and I would wait till there was like a pause in the action, and I would let a fart rip off, you know, 1930s high school wooden benches. And just, I mean, the sound it would have, even the coach would laugh. You know, you want to yell at the kid who's farting, but as a guy, you're like, it's nice. It's solid.
Listen, I don't know when you're going to see Kimmel next, but I mean, you can't outdo the fart I gave him.
I'm doing his show tomorrow. Maybe I will hold in like a amazing fart, let it rip on his show live, and I'll say that's for Corolla.
I have so many fart stories. I've told the story too many times, but it's the best. He was washing dishes at my house one night after poker night. And his back was to me, and I came up behind him, and I had a big one.
Yeah.
And I now him hearing it is fine, and then he does the shields, you know, with the shirt up.
Yeah,
you know, I needed him to I needed him to consume this fart.
Right.
You know, and I was behind him, and I didn't know what to do, so I grabbed a canister of coffee, which had whole beans in it, and had like 3 beans rattling around at the bottom of it, Trader Joe's style. And I popped the cap off, and I planted on my ass. I give it a half turn, you know, just to vapor lock it.
Right.
Filled it, capped it, handed it to Jimmy. I said, Jimmy, you ever smell Sumatran whole roasted bean? And he pulled the lid off and he shoved his face into it and he went, and then he pulled his head back and he went, and I could see the wheels turning. He knew. Because you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can fart on your friend, but you can't make them inhale it. He sucked it all up.
Good.
It's the greatest day of my life.
Have you ever seen Tom Segura's mom's fart?
No, I haven't seen that.
Have you guys ever seen that? Tom Segura's mother, she ripped a fart and he recorded it. It was almost to the point where I had to, honestly ask Tom, say, please, look me in the eyes and tell me that you didn't fake that. That wasn't an auto-tune. And he was like, I swear on my family.
Wow.
My mother has been ripping the most epic, legendary farts my whole life, and you can never catch her. And I caught her, full video, while she was washing the dishes, rip out a fart that was maybe 15 seconds long, and the shock in her face when Tom turns. Yeah,
now I gotta see this.
Yeah, I mean, this. If you like the Chris Isaac one, this is, and she's a little small, Spanish woman.
That's the beauty of the fart game.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
For those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know that I talk a big game about what my mom can do in the fart department.
Yeah.
She forbid me to play this.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm your mother. She's like, you want to play a clip of your mother farting? She's like,
yeah.
Could you put me any lower? That's what she kept saying. This is a magical moment.
You can't. No one's that good an actress. No. Meryl Streep's not good enough to pull that face off.
Look at her.
That's the greatest.
I mean,
that's epic.
Could you imagine? Because I've never heard a fart like that come out of a guy.
No, there is a fart. Okay, there's only one fart where you get that kind of width and breadth.
Okay.
And length. It is end of first date fart. So the longest fart you'll ever do is the end of the first date. So you pick them up at 6:30 or 7. It's off for Thai food or what have you.
Right.
Then at some point it's off to the movie theater. And you get what I would always call nerve gas. You have a little... I have cut a date short. I don't mean date short, but pick up, Spanish tapas, food, drink, then off to the theater for a 2-hour movie, popcorn and more drinks, and then back to her apartment. And at some point, heavy makeout sesh on the sofa, bra coming off, and I've wrapped it.
Right.
Because I got 4.5 hours worth of nerve gas and she's dry humping and I don't know where to go.
You can't do that.
At this point. The longest fart is the fart when you get into your car and shut the door after the first date.
Right.
That's lengthwise. That's as long as it goes.
I think that's accurate. The only time I was on a date once and I couldn't believe that what was happening. We're in the back of a cab. We're slowing down in New York City to a red light, and the car was not completely stopped, and I thought things were going great. I mean, we were laughing, joking, and she opened the door with the car still going 5 miles per hour, and rolled out of the car in a way, stepped out, and then she fell a little bit and just started walking back, jogging down 2nd Avenue. I was like, what the hell? I couldn't, the driver just kept driving where the traffic was. I was like, go around the block, let's look for her. Couldn't find her, texting her, no response. Finally, I just went home, didn't hear from her for 2-3 days. And then finally she texted me back, I'm so sorry. I had an emergency. And so I knew one of her girlfriends. And so I DM'd her and I said, what happened? Did I do something? I was actually nervous. And she was like, honestly, I don't know for sure, but I think she had to take a shit. dead serious. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, are you serious? Like, it wasn't anything with me. She goes, I'm telling you, she's not being honest with me. The girls here think that she must have had to take a shit, because what else could it have been?
Yeah.
And it's probably the truth.
Yeah.
Where as a guy, I feel bad for women, because as a guy, I'm the guy on the first date, I would rip a fart. And it's kind of like, if it was really an emergency. Because it's kind of like, if you want to be with me, then you just kind of got to know that this is just who I am. I think it's funny, especially if I'm on creatine. If I'm loading creatine at that moment, then you have no chance.
Yeah.
Just come into the date with an N95.
All right. I got many other things to discuss with Chris. And I should say that there's dates all over the place. There's podcasting as well. History Hyenas with Giannis Pappas, who's been in here. Good dude.
Yep.
That's a fun one. And then there's Chris of Chaos as well, podcasting. And then dates, NYC coming up. You guys are doing the Live Highness podcast, right?
February 26th.
And Tampa, Florida coming up March 14th and March 15th, Orlando, Florida. So people can go to chrisdcomedy.com, right? For all live
the
dates.
big one.
And the special.
The special. Yep.
The special, which I got to apologize. I saw the trailer. It was funny. I tried to download it last night, and it said you're locked out or you're not, you're not eligible for this. But the special is out the 21st
on Hulu.
21st Feb. Hulu's making a hard push, right?
Hell yeah. They've picked 12. They're doing 12 comedy specials this year, a comic a month. And
Sebastian was just in here talking about, I think, going to Hulu.
He's going to do it. Bill Burr, Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah. Those are some pretty heady names to
Andrew
be
Santino.
Lumped in with.
Yep. I feel like it was good that this is the first year of it all. So I think they're just trying to compete with Netflix, And I got to be honest, like, working with the people at Hulu, I'm not just saying this, like, the executives there are really, truly, like, just the best. Like, they're not your typical TV executive people. Like, they're just good, cool peeps.
Well, you kind of have to be these days because there's so many options. Right. It's basically, way back in the day, you'd go to the ballpark and they had the stadium hot dog and the stadium burger, and it was gray and it was shitty and fuck you, and it was, $22 and you get what you get. You know what I mean? But when other places start popping up,
good point.
Now you got to compete, know? And when you're the only game in town, your attitude starts changing. I mean, that's what you deal with the government, Like, you go down to the Department of Building and Safety and try to pull a permit, and they're like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck you, I'm going across the street. And it's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
It's us or nothing. It's TSA.
Right.
TSA is like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Right? They don't care. So whenever there's zero competition, it always ends up with an attitude.
Right.
But when you can go across the street and sell it there, whatever, then people have to change.
Right. Yeah. And I think Hulu's they've done a good job, and I'm excited about it. And then the other big thing, it's a ways away, but I'm headlining Madison Square Garden September 11th.
Oh my God!
Like the arena, which is wild.
How many?
15,000. It's a wild. Here, I'm very excited to do it because it's almost like frees me mentally. It's the only goal I've ever had in my life was to do comedy at the Garden. And so, I did Radio City. I did the theater at Madison Square Garden 2 years ago. And so they were like, okay, we think you can do the arena now. And so, but here's the place in comedy that I'm at. September 11, 2025, come to New York, headlining Madison Square Garden. And then the next weekend, I think I'm doing the Milwaukee Improv.
Yeah.
So that's just but honestly, I don't mind. I've only ever wanted to be known. I like, I travel, whatever. But like, if you told me, hey, you can make a living and your family can have what they want, and you can just do like the original 13 colonies, I would do that. Yeah. I like being on the East Coast.
Okay, first off, just making a living doing stand-up or doing comedy, whatever, so far ahead of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Especially where you come from, what you thought you'd be doing, other jobs you've had, jobs that your friends have now, who you were in high school with. I mean, it's all gravy, and I really would. I'd hope that everyone take that approach. I do. I realize I get to stand around, tell jokes, hold a beer, talk about farting. You know what I mean? Get paid, get fed for free, whatever. I mean, there's always going to be that, oh, man, that guy's doing this and I'm doing that. You know what I mean? But, when you think about musicians will play arenas at the height of their power, and then they go do an acoustic set at McCabe's in Santa Monica in front of 44 people or something, and it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool that The Who came to the Troubadour.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you look at yourself playing Madison Square Garden and then going off to the Improv in Milwaukee, that's kind of The Who playing the Troubadour.
Yeah, it's cool. And to be honest with you, I like Louis C.K., we talked a couple of weeks ago, and he was just saying, I'm telling you, he's like at the arena level. He was like, when you're like at the top, like obviously Louis got to the top. He was like, there's no oxygen up there. It's like climbing a mountain. He was like, you'll see, like when you're on stage at the Garden, God willing, it sells out and you have fun and you stay in the moment, but you'll feel like, oh man, the comedy show at the Beacon, which is 2,000 seats, would be better because it's like the arena it's for you, and the fans will love it and it'll be great. But he was like, I'm telling you, you're gonna really settle into your career when everywhere you go, you do like 1,000-seat theaters. Like that's the vibe, And he was like, but so I thought that was interesting too, because I appreciate what you say, because it's very easy in this industry for like the agents to be like, oh, pre-sale didn't go like we wanted to, and getting nervous, and it's like, guys. This is all amazing. Like, don't worry. The show's in 7 months. Don't worry about it. And I'm very much having to tell that. Again, sometimes I just feel like we're in this industry. We're giving people our money, and they're making your life harder at times. Where you're like, it's like this thing that I'm starting to. I really like my agent. He's great, and a new manager. Shout out Baby Doll. He's great. But there's other
Baby Doll Dixon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dixon's your manager.
Dixon's my manager. He's fucking great.
You see, there's a picture of him in the hall.
Yeah. Baby Doll's great. I mean, this guy smoked like 50 cigarettes in. I mean, it's
the picture of him. Jimmy's. You know the Christmas card thing?
Sure, I got one. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Baby Doll. The picture of Jimmy had the portrait of him as him smoking, and it's in my entry hall there. But yes, Baby Doll. Sorry,
Baby Doll's the best. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes I'm like, you'll. Like all these things, like my father, he gave me advice and I didn't take it 2 years ago when doing comedy in New York has always been my dream. I've only had 2 goals in this ever, and that's one is to headline Madison Square Garden, and the second one is to have a sitcom on the air about my father. Mm-hmm. So those are like the only, like I wasn't a guy growing up. I didn't know every comedy album. I wasn't watching it like some of my peers, like they know everything. They eat, sleep, and breathe comedy. That was never me. I was a physical therapist, and I Yeah,
and that's ball. What I did in high school. Like I didn't do drama. I didn't think there would be a part where you talk.
Yeah, I don't know all the movies. I don't know the directors. Like a lot of my peers, like they're like really
they're students.
Entertain show business, and that just was never me. I've had these 2 very, those have been the goals. And so, when my dad told me when he was like, when 2 years ago I did Radio City, which was, a big goal, and then it sold out, and he was like, do not add a show. Don't add a show. Your agent's going to tell you to add a show. Everyone's going to tell you to add a show. Don't add a show. Just hang out like in this moment, because then what's going to happen is if the second show's not going to sell out as quick as the first, most likely, and now this win that we have here as a family, you're going to now take months and months and months and just be like, oh, why isn't the second show selling out? He's like, I'm telling you, do not add the second show. But then I was like, I listened to him for a minute, and then my agent was like, yeah, but here's how much money you'll get in the second show. I was like, add the fucking show. And then my dad was as right can be, and for 6 months I just suffered while those tickets trickled in on the second show.
It was so fun. I don't know why this reminded me of this, but when that white DB on the Eagles took his pick 6 to the house.
Deshaun, yeah.
And like, I don't know, first quarter, early second quarter. Yeah. I was like, if I were that guy, if I were that guy, the next time I came back on the field, I would have rolled my ankle intentionally and just went and sat on the bench. Because I got a pick 6. We're going to get a win.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen? I'm going to get burned for a TD in the fourth quarter and then feel bad walking off the field.
Right.
I'm just going to fake an injury right now and just go plant my ass on the bench.
Smart.
And I'll just go out of here as A, winner,
Yeah.
and B, people just remember that I had a pick six.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good going out on top is so underrated. Almost nobody does it when it's like we should all just do that. I would have retired 5 years ago if I was you, Adam. The hell are you doing this shit for? I can only ruin your career.
It's sad. It's like Muhammad Ali fighting Larry Holmes at the end, and Larry's like waving in the ref, and I'm just getting peppered.
Yeah,
and
you're doing the show. You have Parkinson's. We're like, Adam, go the fuck home.
I know, you're right. I know it's the tax burden. I owe the government money. I got to keep fighting.
Goddamn state.
No, you're right. You're right. I should have hung it up.
Yeah.
Or just, not hung it up, but died in some sort of James Dean type way. You know what I mean? Car rollover situation, been a legend. People would have kept, they would have added stories. I saw that guy do a 2-hour set, made up, completely made up.
Yeah.
Like there would have been the legend versus kind of sad what happened.
Yeah, now you just keep going and going and going. The lexicon changes. You don't even realize you say something racist.
Telling fart jokes.
Oh, God.
So
hey,
pathetic.
get the colored guy in here. And they're just like, Jesus, Adam, why don't you retire?
You're right. So, it's true that the agent's job is to, keep throwing track out in front of your train,
Right.
And so what ends up happening is everyone is just sort of doing what they do, but the next thing you know, you're going in 1,000 different directions.
Yeah, and especially with kids and a family in this business, like I said, I love my agent, I love my manager. They're great. I really do. But there is this thing where you're like, okay, I got into this business when I didn't even have family and kids. Now I do. And I'm like, what am I really doing this for? Why do I want to really go? Why am I going on a red carpet for a movie I'm not even in? Or just to be like, look at me. It's like gluttonous a little bit. I'm like, or going away when somebody will just be like, why don't you, you go on your tour, go away for a month. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not going to miss all my kids' lives.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Baby doll. I had a great story with I got a lot of Baby Doll stories.
He's the best.
He's the best. But Baby Doll, at one time, I don't know why this story stuck in my head. Someone was making an offer. I don't know, Comedy Central, whoever, back in the day. And so I said, what was their offer? And he goes, they made an offer. It was so bad. I said, Adam Carolla doesn't roll over in bed for that kind of money.
Yeah.
And then he goes, that offer is so insulting, I'm not even going to tell Adam what you said. And I said, yeah, okay. What was it? And he goes, I'm not telling you. I go, okay, I get it. I'm glad you told them that you're not going to tell me because it's so insulting.
Yeah.
But what was the offer?
Yeah.
I'm not telling you.
What the hell?
He wouldn't tell me.
Yeah.
He said it was too insulting, and he wasn't going to tell me. I didn't give a shit. But
must have gotten the money up and got the offer. He's the best at negotiating.
Oh, he's the best. I mean, me and Jimmy met him, I don't know, pre-Man Show, during the Man Show. I'm trying to think when Baby Doll rolled into town, smelling the cologne and nicotine.
He goes, because we for my promos for my September 11th show at the Garden, we got onto the court with the Knicks. John Starks was a part of the promos. It was great. And Baby Doll was taking all these pictures, me and Starks, and shooting around all that. And then, finished the promos. 3-4 hours later, I get a text from Baby Doll. Out of all those pictures, the only picture he sends me, his client, is a picture of him taking a layup at the Garden. I'm like, what about the pictures of me and Starks? Me standing under my sign that says I'm headlining. You send me a picture of you taking a layup?
He's the star.
It's
you
so
need to
funny.
know. You need to know that.
Yeah, but I love that.
All right, I have stuff to get into. I don't know why. Somebody tweeted me an advertisement for Pickleball shoes. And I've always laughed about this because my daughter played volleyball. And somebody figured out that we need to make a shoe for everything. Yeah. And you're a perfect guy to talk to about this because you played basketball at a high level. And my daughter, all volleyball games are played on a basketball court.
Yes.
Unless there's no shoes on the beach. Oh,
Right.
They're going to start selling shoes for beach volleyball, I predict. So My daughter would be like, I got to spend $100 for volleyball shoes.
Right.
And I'd be like, you have basketball shoes. Yeah, that's not going to work. I said, LeBron James can move around okay. You know,
Sure.
Michael Jordan got around okay in basketball shoes on a basketball court. You're just in the middle of the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I need lateral support. We're moving forward. We're moving backwards. I'm like,
Yeah.
have you seen Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
He's wearing that's a basketball court. No,
Yeah.
we need a basketball. We need the volleyball shoe.
Yeah, it's also too. It's all marketing and it's all perception because like even Michael Jordan, the shoes that the Jordans now that we all love and swoon over that we would only ever wear with jeans. You know, people wear them
Right.
to their wedding. That's what he would play NBA basketball games in. Dr. J, those Converse sneakers
Right.
that we would be like, oh, you could never even, you know, a orthopedist would say you can't run in those.
Right,
You'll blow
right.
your knee out. Dr. J won scoring titles in those sneakers, dunking on people. So it's like this whole idea of the pickleball shoe or the volleyball shoe. It's like that's all marketing. In reality, is you can wear any shoe you want and play the game.
Yeah, well, I would say especially if you're playing on a basketball court.
100%.
If you're playing volleyball, you can wear a basketball shoe because that's what the court was. But pickleball, this is next fucking level.
I mean, the pickleball, first of all, I mean, the sport has come out of nowhere. I mean, I thought pickleball to me was always just what the Chinese guys played.
Yes.
I was just like, oh, Chinese guys do pickleball and they smoke cigarettes hovering with their asshole an inch off the ground. That's that's Chinese.
When you can't afford a tennis court or like you
Yes.
don't have the room for a tennis court in your backyard, then you go with pickleball.
Right.
But now evidently there's a shoe for pickleball, except for it's here's what I would bet you this. If there was a guy who was a let's just say a 5 at pickleball with the pickleball shoe, he would still get beat by a guy who was a 6 at pickleball wearing Hirachis.
100%.
That's the sport. A guy won, I think in 1968, maybe Mexico City. Somebody can look it up. The guy won a marathon barefoot.
Yep.
Which, by the way, somebody needs to build a statue to that guy because he wasn't running on a rubberized track indoors. He was just running through Mexico City.
Yeah, he was stepping on heroin syringes barefoot.
It was like human feces, stepping over drug addicts, and cobblestone.
Yeah.
There were cars on fire, drug lords shooting it out, and he's just chugging barefoot.
Yeah, the pickleball shoe. I mean, it also. I got to be honest with you. To me, it kind of looks like shit. I mean, this looks like an orthopedic, old person shoe.
It can't look like your basic tennis shoe because then people would go, "Well, what do I need these for?"
Right.
But this is a bigger grift than volleyball shoes, the pickleball, because anybody could wear any shoe and play any tennis shoe and play pickleball.
Yeah, because what is the sports scientist going to say is the difference of this shoe, that how it helps you more in pickleball specifically over, tennis?
A BB Bikila, an Ethiopian runner back in the day, competed in 1968 Olympic marathon, Mexico City, but did not finish, attempting to run the marathon with a broken leg.
Sick.
Hold on, but I didn't ask about broken leg, did I? Barefoot. Hey.
Wow. And he won?
He ran barefoot with a broken leg. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's even more
that's
impressive.
The guy.
Then.
Oh, okay. Wait. He forced to drop out due to the pain of a broken leg, but not the bare feet. Oh, okay. How far did he make it? And did he want shoes? And is Ethiopia just so poor they couldn't afford shoes for their marathoner? Like, sorry, we don't have $28, but
I mean,
also it had to be. Listen, I used to be impressed. The Rams and a couple of teams had barefoot field goal kickers.
Right.
And those barefoot field goal kickers in Buffalo in December would still kick barefoot.
Wait a minute. They kicked the ball with their bare foot?
Never heard of the barefoot kicker?
No, I remember there used to be kickers like they had like a specific style shoe and they would wear the helmets with just the one bar, but I never saw the barefoot kicker.
there are a couple of them. And
nuts.
the Rams, you can look it up. The Rams had a barefoot kicker. This is like modern era, sort of mid 80s, later 80s. The thing that always cracked me up is he wore the top of the sock, which is
Stupid.
It's just weird. Like, I need something, but I'm a barefoot kicker.
Yeah.
He kicked that fucking ball, and he would do it in Buffalo in wintertime, outdoor stadium.
I don't even understand how that's possible. I mean, wouldn't you break your toes kicking that ball?
A football in the cold gets pretty damn hard, and it stings. Oh, God, what was the Rams? And there were a couple guys in the league. It wasn't just the Rams.
Right.
Crawford or something.
Well, I know that
Tony Franklin.
Tony Franklin. Okay.
Tony Franklin kicked barefoot.
Well, I mean, maybe they just start to get desensitized on the nerves, because I know that when you the Muay Thai fighters, they kick so much that they get desensitized.
Mike Lansford was the Rams guy. There were more than one barefoot kicker in the league, which sounds nuts. But again, outdoor stadium, New England, you know what I mean?
Yeah. November. No thanks. Yeah.
All right. The other thing I wanted to ask you about that made me laugh is I'm displaced now. My home. I cannot go back to my home in Malibu. So I'm out.
Burned down?
It did not burn down. I just can't go back because there's no power, there's no water, there's no gas, there's no utilities.
Right.
So you can't go there. And I don't even know if they'd let you go there. But anyway, I can't go back. So I've been bivouacking it. I put the whack in bivouac, Dr. Drew. I'm at Dr. Drew's house. And I'm sitting on Dr. Drew's sofa last night, and I'm watching Netflix, and there's a new cable TV has figured out there's two subjects we'll never get tired of hearing new content on. Hitler and OJ. Hitler and OJ, we have a bottomless consumption for those. Give me the next. I've seen 26 docs on OJ. Not enough for me. I've seen 142 Hitler-related things. Not enough. You can never go wrong with cable networks are like, we need another Hitler. We need another OJ.
Agreed.
Somebody's got to do a doc about what if Hitler met OJ? What would that look like? You know what I mean? Hitler and OJ have lunch.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Put it up. Netflix.
Yeah.
Take it.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and now it's a series on. It's called Hitler and the Nazis.
Okay.
And they've recolorized footage from Nuremberg trials, and they have all these things. Young Hitler. Hitler had a different mustache than older Hitler.
Right.
He had a sort of Kaiser mustache and then went to the Charlie Chaplin at some point. But so I'm looking at it. It's called Hitler and the Nazis, and I'm watching it. And at some point, I pause it to go in the kitchen or something. And I come back and I unpause it, and it sort of reboots, and it does the warning label. Mm-hmm. And it says, it's Hitler and the Nazis. It says, disturbing images, gore, smoking, and violence. They put smoking in front of violence.
Yeah.
So they're literally going to have footage of Dresden, and we'll see kids on fire, but somebody may be smoking a cigarette at some point, and I need to buckle up for that from 1942.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny, too, like how Netflix and all these places are like, first of all, like when you go to like Italy, and you watch like just the regular TV there, they'll curse, they'll show boobs on like, the regular network television. But they won't show, someone getting their head blown off with an AK-47. We're here in the U.S. We'll be like, no cursing, no boobies, but let's blow everyone up and kill everyone.
And the notion that you have the word gore on there. Like, I don't know. Once you've decided to be in on gore, you're not easily offended.
Yeah, I can take a little smoking.
Also, since everyone smoked in 1942, I would be confused if people weren't smoking. I also love that smoking beat violence.
Right.
Like, I needed, it was disturbing images, gore, smoking, and then violence.
Right.
I feel like violence should have edged out smoking.
Yeah. I mean, these people, like the people that run this shit. I mean, I really think at this point, man, everyone's just on autopilot. I
agree.
I don't even know if they're just putting it up to put it up. Nobody cares anymore.
Well, I'll tell you why I don't like it. And also, is there a scenario where, like, you're sitting down? How old's your daughter? Well, you have a stepson, and then
14, 9, and 3.
All right. Is there a scenario where you sit down with your 9-year-old and you go, look, I want you to learn a history lesson. We're going to watch Hitler and the Nazis. And then you see the warning come on. You're like, disturbing images. Like, all right, you're almost 10. You can handle that. Gore, we can. Hey, get ready for life, baby. Violence. Okay, you see enough of that. Ooh, smoking. Sweetie, let's see what Nickelodeon's got to offer us. Is there anyone where smoking is a deal breaker after gore and disturbing imagery?
It's stupid. It doesn't make sense.
I'll tell you why I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it like I didn't like end racism in the end zone of the NFL, which is it lumps smokers in with Nazis, essentially. it literally does. Like poor Dixon.
Yeah.
Poor baby doll's got to go out and hide behind the dumpster to blow butt out there. Because,
now my Aunt Colleen's a Nazi.
Right, because she's wedged in between gore and disturbing imagery, all Nazi activity and smoking. Like it's just in the conversation.
Right.
It's like when, I don't know why, but it was, Matt Damon got a ton of shit 8 years ago because he's like, well, let's not lump Al Franken in with Harvey Weinstein. And then he got lumped in with Harvey Weinstein. And now it's just, they're all Me Too. They got Me Too'd, you know. But one guy was a serial rapist. And the other guy was a comedian who took sort of gag pictures on a cargo plane.
It's one of those things where, I think like, again, marketing, what it is. I remember, speaking to the Nazis, this was like a couple of months ago, right before the election. When everyone's like saying Trump's a Nazi and Hitler and all that stuff was going on. So I had on YouTube, we were at home, my fiance was in the other room, like, doing the dishes, cooking. I don't know what she was doing, but she could hear what I was watching on YouTube. And what I was watching was a Hitler speech, right, from the 30s, but it was all in English. Mm-hmm. And they had changed, the AI had changed Germany to America. Right. So it was full Hitler, just translated from German to English, changing Germany to America. And she comes in and she's just listening, and she goes, who the hell is that guy? And I didn't say, I was like, oh, he's pretty good, right? And because, she's like, more liberal and whatever. And I was like, he's pretty good, right? And she was like, yeah. She was like, that's the kind of voice America needs right now. Right. And I was like, it's Adolf Hitler. And she was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And just like screaming. I was like, you see, there you go.
My plan was to I wish there were pictures of Adolf Hitler as an infant and I could show it to girls and they'd go, oh look, he's so cute.
Such a cutie.
I bet he's going to be an architect.
Yeah. Or I would say, wouldn't you like your leader to be a vegetarian and love dogs? And I'd say, yes. I'd say, well, take Adolf.
Yeah. Is that such a thing? Can you find that, Byron, Adolf, given his speech? Yeah. And it's also, it kind of, the converse to that, which is funny, is when they show footage of like Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton from like 1991 going, we don't need to be overrun with these illegal aliens coming in our cities, taking our jobs, filling up our schools, using our welfare system. Yeah. We need a stout border where these aliens can't infiltrate. And by the way, they commit a lot of crime. Oh, yeah. They don't pay taxes. You're like, who's this person talking?
Yeah, Joe Biden's like, gay marriage is gross in like the 90s.
Young Adolf.
Look at young Adolf.
Young Adolf, looking cute.
That's a good, it's a name, it's a rap album name, Young Adolf, with that picture.
It's funny because he stole Charlie Chaplin's mustache and Mo Howard's haircut.
Right.
And he took our comedy legends and basically cherry-picked their hair.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, look at him. It's fascinating, man. That's why I love history. And when you watch this stuff, it's like obviously, there's atrocities in history, but when people compare that to like today, I'm like, guys, do you realize how much better life is today than like even the best of the best worlds of the 1920s?
Oh my God. I always think with my kids who are 18, twins, in their bedroom, my son had like a 65-inch TV in his bedroom, right?
Sick.
I know. And I'm like, let's just talk width to depth ratio.
Right.
You have a TV that's 65 inches across and about 1 3/4 inches deep. Mm-hmm. I had a Zenith black and white 13-incher that was 13 across and 44 inches deep.
Right. Yeah.
If you just marked progress by the depth to width on TV sets, you'd see his TV's got less deep and the screen got bigger. Now there's a 100-incher in the other room that's 1 1/4 inches deep and 100 inches wide. Ungoddamn thinkable. Could you imagine if you had a friend when you were a kid that had a 100-inch TV set? I would have physically moved into the guy's home.
1,000%.
I would have showed up with like a pillow and a comforter and like a rucksack over my shoulder and just said, look, I'm just going to move in.
I feel like the government would have confiscated it. Like they would be like, oh, this TV, like this has to be like,
Elvis would have taken it.
100%.
The king would have showed up at your house.
Yeah.
Try to trade you a Cadillac or something
that's
for it.
You got to just be great. You got to be grateful. I mean, I just feel like it's sometimes like I try to tell my kids that to try to focus on their effort only and not the outcome. But kids are kids, man. They're just going to be like, everything sucks. It's just who they are.
Well, I'm hoping that the we don't appreciate it gene, which we all have as Americans, is why we're number one.
Right.
Because nobody stopped at 55 inches and went, all right, I think we're good.
Yeah.
They just went, fuck it, where's our 65-incher? Like, the second somebody got a 55-inch TV, I mean, they literally, I grew up with a 13-inch. I mean, my family was poor. Other people had color TVs, that, But at some point, I got like a 19-inch color TV.
Right.
And I was like, this is cool. But that lasted 10 minutes. I was like, I want a 24-inch.
Right.
And you just kept, it just sort of, but now I want to play Madison Square Garden.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it just kept growing.
It keeps going. But I'm coming to the point now where like, I think for me, like personally, like if I can, get through Madison Square Garden, I'll feel like, okay, I did that big goal, like, because then if you just keep going and going, then there's like no end to up, and then you just some of our peers, they're selling out arenas all over the world. They're not happy. You talk to them, they're like they always want more and more and more. It's like, how do you get out of that? I don't know really how to. I'm going to try, but I'm wondering how the hell do you get out of that rat race, or is that just being an American and that's the gift and the curse because we're just number one by a landslide, and I'm just a red, white, and blue kid.
Wow, that's powerful. Okay, here's what I think. I think there is a way to go into the octagon with unbridled aggression and try to kill your opponent, and then you have to hug it out when you're done and go home and kiss your kids goodnight.
Right.
Like you need that kind of flexibility. In this sort of business. So a way to have that drive and that motivation, the stuff that keeps you writing new jokes, the stuff that makes you wake up at 4 a.m. and look for a pen to write something down or what have you. And then a way to shut it off, relax, enjoy what you've just done without looking for the next larger TV set.
Got it. Yeah. But that's
I guess the balance.
I guess that's just staying in the moment, staying in the present, which is just the most difficult thing to do.
Yeah, and look, thank God, Elon Musk can't do that.
Right.
Because his thing is every waking moment's got to be doing something bigger and better, and so does Trump's that way, and many people are that way. My mom and my dad could just chillax all, they're must have been Jamaican or something. There's got to be some Jamaican blood in those two. They were just on island time like the whole time. Now no fire in the belly equals 13-inch black and white Zenith TV.
Right.
You know what I mean? And no air conditioning. So you got to have some fire. And then there's but then crack a beer, enjoy yourself, you know, celebrate what you've accomplished.
Best of both worlds. Yeah.
Balance.
That's it. Balance. we're trying to get that balance. But yeah, I mean, just know anyone at this point who says America is not number one, I mean, you're just an asshole. I mean, we're number one by a landslide. I mean, just look fucking around.
I agree with you.
I like to now see like the comedians in the comedy clubs, like even where I'm, in New York, who like shit on America and it just bombs. I'm like, you know what, dude? You should be arrested. I really start thinking if anyone starts to disparage America on stage, I'm calling ICE. That's just how I feel. But that's how I've always felt. I've always been. See, here's the thing. You look at my comedy since 2015. I've always been proud to be an American. I've always been like, my comedy's always been like pro-America. It's not a political statement. But now it's like people are like, ooh, like I did a joke at the Comedy Cell the other night just about how great the United States is, and somebody was like, ooh, all these comics are coming out of the woodwork now, all of a sudden being pro-Trump. I'm like, I'm not saying I'm pro-Trump or anti-Trump. I just said I love the United States, and I've been saying that for 10 years.
Well, that reminds me, Byron, I'm looking at you, but somebody tweeted me a scene from a movie I did called The Hammer, which I did in 2009. So that would have been, I shot this film like 16 years ago. And somebody tweeted me, this is about 3 or 4 days. Oh, there it is. Now, all right. So this is a scene from my movie from 2009, and someone said they'd been sharing it with their friends, which made me laugh, but I think you'll appreciate it. Sorry.
I mean, they look like my cousins.
Nicaragua. José Álvarez, Nicaragua. Ricardo Mayorga, Nicaragua. Nicaragua número uno. Nicaragua!
You guys sure seem to love Nicaragua, except for the part where you risk your lives not to live there anymore.
Muchachos, es hora de dormir.
That's the way I feel.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Nicaragua's a piece of shit. I'm saying you came here.
Right.
I didn't move to Nicaragua.
Yeah.
So stop. If you're going to come here, Nicaragua may not be number one.
Right.
That's all. And stop waving the flag.
For me, I've never, and again, I was born into the United States. So like, I don't know. I never had to come from another country. I'm happy being here. So I understand that part. But for me, it's always been like, you're allowed to have whatever country's flag you want outside your house, but you also need to have an American flag.
Yeah.
Like, I've always just felt that way from the beginning. I guess maybe because being New York, 9/11, I was like, how much like patriotic pride, but I've always been like, why are people allowed to just have another? You couldn't do that in another country. You go to these other countries and I just went to Italy, all you see is Italian flags. So I was in Florence. I'm telling you, dude, you walk down the street in Florence, every business has an Italian flag and a statue of some uncircumcised stone cock from 1500s. Those are the two things about Florence that I've recognized big.
Well, I will say this. Something I've always been on, because I'm from Los Angeles.
Right.
And so if you want to call it xenophobic, you may. But what I've basically said is, if you take enough people from enough places or from certain places and you put them here, they'll just set up camp and they'll just replicate what they know.
Sure.
The same way that if you moved me somewhere, eventually I'd start hanging around with English-speaking people, and we'd be watching the NFL on Sundays, and you'd be talking about getting a decent slice around here.
Right.
No matter where we were, you could be in Nicaragua.
Yeah, you would find the Nazi documentary lovers of the Czech Republic
come together, right? So, I basically said, look, there's nothing wrong. So I'm from Los Angeles, and I've been here my whole life. There's nothing wrong with people coming here from Mexico, but they have to assimilate, learn the language, learn the ways. Yeah. They can have pride and they can watch soccer, but they need to assimilate, because if not, they just come here in large groups and they don't assimilate, then you're just going to have Tijuana here.
Right.
It can go no other way. And so there used to be the notion in Los Angeles of street vendors was unheard of. There was no such thing as selling shit on the street. You could have a lawn sale like once in a while, sell an old futon or Burt Bacharach, record. But there was no food being sold on the street. So when I went to Tijuana when I was like in high school, because you just go there, you can go to the strip clubs and drink and have fun for free. It's a judgment-free environment over there, and they don't even know what a fucking ID is over there. They just walk into wherever you want to walk into. But the first thing that jumped out at you when you went to Tijuana is all street vendors.
Right.
It was just people selling tacos on the street, marionettes, little 3-year-old kids selling chiclets everywhere. You just like everyone's selling shit on the street, and you're from a metropolitan city. So it's like, where's the license? Where's the food inspector? Where's the health guy? You're just selling street tacos. Okay, that was 1982.
Right.
Now, L.A.
Right.
All fucking street vendors, all just selling ghetto dogs, beer, tequila shots, roses by the mortuary. It's just all street vendors. Okay, so how did that happen? Well, a whole bunch of people from that place that did all that stuff just came here.
Yeah.
And we told them, do not worry about assimilating because that would have been racist. You do your own thing. And they went, well, here's what we do. We take coolers and we fill them with Tecatis and we go down to SoFi and we sell them for cash right in front of the stadium. And then we cook dogs with bacon wrapped around it and we put mayonnaise on it.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. And we went, okay, well, that's what we have. Right. So then you have to say to yourself, well, what do you like? Do you like Tijuana or do you like what we had in Los Angeles in 1961? Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And people would go, well, I don't think people should be selling food without it being, a health inspector or whatever, some pay taxes or regulatory system or whatever. So, but we have it now. So I don't know if that makes me racist or xenophobic, but LA has turned into Mexico.
Right.
And the whole point is they left Mexico because Mexico wasn't good, but now Mexico is here.
Yeah,
right.
It's interesting. I never thought about it that way because you're right. If it went the other way,
well, look at Europe with Muslim.
Right.
They wish they had Mexicans over there. They get a decent street dog and not be blown up. At a concert.
It's true. The thing that obviously the benefit that we have living in the United States is we are separated by the big oceans, or else we would have those problems too. But that is just geography, baby. I mean, we got placed right here with these two beautiful oceans on either side, and it's very tough to infiltrate in here. But I think that's why. Do you think that's a part of why maybe Trump is wants to take Canada? Why he's coming down on Mexico because he doesn't want quote unquote America's enemies to start staging in those places?
There's always a method to his madness, although people naively just think he's an insane person. Sure. But he's kind of crazy like a fox,
Yeah.
So he's always sort of underestimated. What I don't get is he's an insanely pragmatic guy. He's like, well, we should just take over Gaza and turn it into the Riviera. And then everyone's like, oh my God, you can't do that. And it's like, as opposed to what?
Yeah.
As opposed to what?
Another 1,000 years of war?
I wrote in a book of mine years and years and years ago, I just went, all of Israel should just pick up and move to Baja, California. Yeah. It's desert. It's by the ocean. It's beautiful. And Mexico could use some Jews.
Yes.
They need Jews desperately.
Yes.
I ironically said they could use some bean counters over there because ironically they don't have any.
Yeah.
They got a lot of beans, just not a lot of counters.
Yes.
And the Jewish culture, all Israel is desert with the ocean next to it. I've been to Tijuana, but I've been to Baja a million times. It's glorious.
Right.
It's beautiful, rugged desert and then beautiful ocean.
So move Israel there.
And there's nobody there.
Right.
Go there. You're surrounded by homicidal, genocidal maniacs that want you erased from the globe.
Yes,
that's all it is.
Just leave.
Just fucking leave and go there. And everyone goes, whenever you say anything, they go, okay, all right, you can't do it. And it's like, I don't know, why...
Why can't you
turn Gaza into the French Riviera? Why not? Or what? What's the alternative?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, Trump is the guy to me. It's like, I really believe that he probably doesn't want never-ending war because that he's a businessman. He wants to put a Trump casino in a place. You can't put a casino in a war-torn country.
But it's a strange thing with the progressives, and I know it because I grew up. My mom was very progressive. My grandmother's very progressive, and Margaret Cho was in here the other day, who I like, and she's progressive, and she started waxing on about trans rights and trans this and trans that. And I just said, well, look, if you want to cut your junk off and live your life as a woman or add some junk or do whatever you want, put a skirt on, I don't care. Do whatever you want. But if you just, in California, if you just say you're a woman, you could just go into the Wii Spa in Los Angeles, just say you're a woman, and then they'd escort you right into the ladies' locker room.
Right.
And it happened at the YWCA. There's just some dude just go, hey, I'm a woman. And it's California. Go, okay, go ahead and use the ladies' room. And then there's a 16-year-old girl steps out of the shower. I said, we can't have that.
Of course not.
What do we do about that? And she's just like, I don't know about that, but I know, that people deserve to live their best life in their hearts and stuff like that. And I realized that side has no answers.
Yeah, because
all they have is feelings.
That's it.
But they have no answer. So what I'm saying is ladies of the squad who call Trump insane for talking about taking over Gaza and turning it into something other, fine, he's insane. What is your plan for Gaza? I know it's a two-state solution where everyone lives in harmony, except for that's not ever going to happen.
Right. Yeah, and for me, it's like with the trans stuff, is I understand there's problems. Everyone individually has issues, and I get that. But overall, they are yes, you're not allowed to go into just say you're a woman and go into a woman's bathroom because, like you said, a 16-year-old girl could be in there, and we can't prevent this stuff. But it's like you're not being killed or murdered in the street. You have the rights. You do have rights. You have the rights that we all have. So when the progressives say that, I'm like, what don't they have? A bathroom? Like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do here.
I didn't even get the plus community where they go, well, there's the LGBT, BLT, but the plus, and then there's this community, and it's like, listen, I don't know why we need all the options. You could be a woman who became a man, and then I would just call you sir. Yeah. Or you could be a man who becomes a woman, and I'll just call you ma'am, and that'll be it. But why? Either way, why do we need a third?
Yeah, and it's also like, show me someone who isn't trying to financially gain from making those statements. Like, when you watch, it's always that. It's like, It's like, what would be the incentive, say, for CNN to end racism or like what they would make no money. So they have to cherry pick the issues and make this a way bigger deal than it actually is. Or else their business goes away.
Oh, listen, you are too young a comedian, but there used to be a very common joke with black comedians, which is if we ever had a black president, they would do the assassination joke. But the general refrain was, the day we have a black president is the day we've ended racism in this country. And that's what everyone would always say, comedian or not. Just anybody speaking would go, if this country saw fit to elect a black president, then no, you couldn't call it racist anymore. And obviously we had a black president for 2 terms.
Sure.
And all the race hustlers, if you noticed, including Obama, who is a race hustler, realized that the end of the grift was near because we elected a black president.
Right.
So they all doubled down their efforts. Al Sharpton, CNN, all the typical race hustlers went harder on race, so that comically, if you look at this country and you look at polling, like black-white relations, we took a poll, we asked black people and white people how they thought relations were between the communities. It was much higher in the good department before we had a black president. Then we got a black president, and then all the hustlers went, okay, our fucking work is cut out for us. We're going to have to find race. If there's a black NASCAR driver and someone has a pole for the garage door, make sure it's a noose. Make everything about race and let's get the hustle back on because we don't have it anymore. We just elected a black president.
Yeah.
And so they hit it harder. Obama hit it harder. And then if you look at the polls after Obama, race relations has got much worse after a two-term black president.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't. Everyone's they're financially benefiting themselves. Like, even with like the DEI, I understand the DEI needed to happen in the '60s and '70s and '80s. I get it, but that was never supposed to be a forever program. I'm sure you have, black friends that would say the same as my black friends. Like, I have a friend, and he was like that. He was so black guy. He was happy that DEI was, in some ways, maybe even symbolically coming to an end because he was like, anytime I got a job or a friend of mine got a job, we always were wondering, like, did I just get this job because I was black? He was like, so that didn't help me at all mentally.
Well, not only did you get the job, he had to think about it for himself. But as I've said, the 19-year-old black kid walking across the quad at Harvard, everyone's looking at him going,
yeah,
is he here because his SAT scores were through the roof? Or is there some Asian guy at a community college right now who got a higher SAT score?
So that's not going to work. That's not going to work for the society
long term.
It's unfair
to them.
It's unfair. So that's why I think here's the thing, like, people I know, it's like the same, and I only can speak, the only thing I'm a quote expert at is stand-up comedy. It's what I do every day. And I'm just seeing it on the ground floor, like at the comedy clubs in New York. Like, now the bits about like, and this is not pro or against Trump. It's just what the people are feeling like. The bits about anti-Trump, they're just kind of hacky now. It's kind of like the audience doesn't give a shit anymore. The things that it's like really working are comedy about like just common sense stuff. That's really just like whatever, kind of like saying what the middle has thought forever. And so I think like things are shifting in a way. I mean, dude, I remember, remember 10 years ago, like if you were 18, 19 years old, you were hardcore to the left. That's like what was cool. College kids, cool. You would go do a college show, don't offend anyone, blah, blah, blah. I have a 17-year-old nephew, and I asked him in late September, I said, who you gonna vote for? I said, are you gonna vote? Which way you gonna go? And he's like, I don't know, because he was going to turn 18, but by the time the votes came out, and I said, he said, I don't know. I said, well, who do you like? He's like, well, I mean, I can't vote for Biden and Democrats because that's just gay. And I was like, really?
Wow.
I was like, that's what you think? And he was like, that's what my friends think. Yeah, he goes like, the Dems are just kind of gay.
Wow.
And it's kind of like weak. And I was like, interesting. I was like, because, when I was growing up, it was just the opposite. And then I was talking to him about it, and he was like, yeah, he was like, our feeling is the Republicans like America and the Democrats don't. And so whether that's real or not is irrelevant. The perception of the youth was that. The Democrats are anti-America and kind of gay, and the Republicans are pro-America and more strong. And that's just what it was, the perception of it. It's not people want to talk all about the reality. It's like, who cares about the reality? It doesn't matter. Like, people be like, oh, Obama, sent more people over the wall, kicked more migrants out than Trump. Maybe that's true. But at the time, no one was talking about it, so no one felt that. The perception was that wasn't happening. The reality is like, it's so irrelevant what the reality is. It's just the perception. And so that's what I think happened now. It's like the perception was this is the way it is. And I'm more and more being like, does the reality actually matter? Who cares what's real? What's perceived to be real is what's real. That's how I think.
Yeah. It's funny. It always jumps in my head, but Baby Doll Dixon.
There it is. The human cigarette.
When I was... when I took over for Stern on the West Coast some years ago, and I was on the flagship station was KLSX out here in Los Angeles, and the radio show I did was #1 in Seattle, #1 in Vegas, which I always told everyone. I go, what the smartest city in America is? And they'd go, I don't know. I go, Seattle, which it was. I go, you know what the dumbest city in America is? I go, no. I go, Vegas, which it was.
Yeah.
I go, I'm #1 in both.
Right.
So fuck off.
Right.
And I was. And I was pretty much #1 everywhere, but not in Los Angeles. I was coming #5 or something in Los Angeles. And I said, and it was like, they had these meters and time spent listening and diaries and Arbitron diaries and shit.
Yeah,
People take a golf pencil and write in
Yeah.
who they listen to every day. It was all nuts, right? Not exact science. But we were getting beat up. I was getting beat up because I wasn't number one in Los Angeles. And Dixon was like, baby, with the Kayla Sex, I want to know why you're not getting the ratings in Los Angeles, And I took over for Stern, and he said, your time spent listening, it's like 38 minutes. And he said, let me tell you about Stern. The average Stern listener, the one who enjoyed Stern, listened for 2 hours and 10 minutes a day. The people who hated Stern listened for 3 hours a day. I said, baby, that's from the movie. That didn't happen. And he goes, what do you mean? It's in a movie. It's not that if you don't like Stern, you don't listen to Stern all day.
Right.
And he goes, that's what that is. And I said, no, it's from the movie. It's not what happened. But then I realized that's the perception.
That's the
what he
perception.
thinks. That's what he saw in the movie.
Sure.
So it's totally counterintuitive to go, the people that hate Stern listen to him more than the people that love Stern.
Yeah.
But it was in the movie. That's where he got it. Now it's reality, and now I'm having to do battle with it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
What you're talking about.
That's what it is. I mean, I used to like if my tickets weren't selling, I was always like I'm an elephant in the room guy. I would just go on the radio and be like, I'm not selling, and make fun of it all, and it would get laughs in the room. And then my agent was like, he's great. He was like, look, the reason why that doesn't work is because it's fine that you want to make fun of yourself. That's great. Do that on stage for the performance if the show truly isn't sold out. He goes, but then the perception is when these people hear it, it's like, oh, you don't sell tickets or I don't have to buy right now. He was like, always just say that you're selling more because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the actual number is. If the perception is this guy sells quick, they're going to need to buy right now. And that's just what it is. He was like, there's a little bit of lying that has to happen to be good in show business. There just is.
That's who
and
Trump
I'm sorry. Yeah.
He did it to me when I did the marriage ref with him. We're just backstage and just slapped me on the back and goes, this episode's going to be number one.
Yeah.
And I was like, why?
Yeah.
He's like, because it's going to be number one. You check, you see. And I realized, he just did that to the country.
Yeah.
I've told the story, but I felt good, momentarily. Like, we're going to be number one. Why can't we be number one?
Yeah.
We should be number one.
100%. Yeah, that's what I'm like. Even like I know, I don't know any of the history of it, but I was like, let's fucking take Greenland. I want Greenland.
I want Greenland.
I was like, dude, put Israel in Greenland.
Send Israel to the Gulf of America. That's what I'm saying.
That's what it is.
All right, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
Take a whiz. We'll bring Mayhem Miller in here. We'll do some news. Chris will hang out a little bit more with us, and we'll do that right after this. Hey, it's almost Valentine's Day, people. Let's give her one she's not going to forget. That's right. Take advantage of this brand new deal from Adam and Eve. AdamandEve.com/ace is where you go. That's AdamandEve.com/ace. This is absolutely the best deal we have ever offered, and you deserve the best Valentine's Day ever. This is a limited time offer, so get your 4 sex toys while supplies last. 4 toys for $20, literally saving up to $175 with this exclusive offer. Have a fun and rowdy Valentine's Day this year with our good friends at Adam and Eve. Right, Dawson?
Take a look at AdamandEve.com/ace to see what 4 sex toys will be yours for just $20. Go to AdamandEve.com/ace. It's the only way to get this offer.
Well, you want to start a business, your own business, a small business, and grow it this year. Let's do this. And now's the best time to start. Shopify is going to help you. I started a business, and I use Shopify, and I'm glad I did. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale. Get your store up and running. It's easy, and they've got thousands of customizable templates that can help you with all the details like shipping, taxes, payments, from one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on the important stuff like growing your business, because you want to be freed up to grow your business, not burdened with the nickel and dime stuff, let Shopify help you with that. With Shopify, your first sale is closer than you think. It's Shopify, right, Dawson?
Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Corolla, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Corolla to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/Corolla.
You know, my father's the kind of guy, like, he thought I was gay when I was a little kid because I liked blueberries. So I could only imagine what would have happened to him if we would have went to the pizzeria and I asked for a plain slice of cheese, if this man is questioning if I'm a homosexual because I wanted some antioxidants. I could only imagine. I mean, plain slice of cheese, he would have just been like, what, do you also want a bukkake of cock? Oh my God!
Chris DiStefano is on the Adam Carolla Show.
What do you like on a slice of pizza? What's the best?
That joke was coming from, I was just in New York and there was a guy in front of me, like all these out-of-towners, like if you go into a pizzeria, like a New York pizzeria, and you say, can I have a plain slice with cheese? No, I mean, nobody, we were like, what, go home. You have to say it's just a regular. I just want a regular or a Sicilian. I'm not a toppings guy. I understand different, you know, we're in LA here, it's a different thing. But it's like you're not ordering a Hawaiian pizza from a New York City pizzeria guy. Most of them won't do it. I've seen pizza guys be like, I'm not putting pineapple.
Now, where do you come down on pepperoni?
Pepperoni I'll do. I like pepperoni. I have pepperoni nipples, so I like doing that. But I for me, pizza, it's just, I'm just regular pie.
I'm with you.
That's how I go.
I like sausage and onion, but regular's fine. I put garlic powder on it, which I love, which is an East Coast thing, and it didn't make it here.
Yeah.
You go to the pizzeria on the East Coast, they got some peppers, they got some cheese sometimes, but they have garlic powder, not garlic salt, garlic powder, and you can just douse it with garlic powder.
Or in New York, the Puerto Ricans have adobo. You know, my family's Puerto Rican. So like we put adobo on pizza, and that gets wild.
What's adobo?
It's like a Puerto Rican spice. It's kind of like garlic powder, but it's just, I don't know, it's just fucking adobo. It's Puerto Rican garlic powder.
Did your wife take offense to the Puerto Rican Trump garbage, joke from the Nazi rally?
Not at all. I literally I watched my own family over the course of the last 8 years go from Democrat to Republican. I just watched it slowly happen because of the Dems just did it to themselves. I mean, you had, my family, case in point, Puerto Rican people all voted for Obama, did not like Donald Trump the first time, voted for Hillary, Latinos, buying into, racism and all that. And then just as time went on, they were like, wait a minute, what? And then even and the Puerto Rican garbage thing, I bring that up to say, because that, for my family, my girl, that was when she heard that, she was like, that to me, is the same grab her by the pussy thing. She was like, that's the same thing. And now I hate these people. She was like, I can't stand the left. That doesn't bother me.
Well, here's an interesting thought experiment that we can all engage in, which is I, too, have seen folks drift from the left to the right.
Right.
I can't think in the last 8 years. I cannot think of an example of anyone drifting from the right to the left in the last 8 years not that it hasn't happened, just no one in my orbit. I've seen women especially who were like hard all in COVID at the beginning drifting toward the right.
Well, the woman thing, to me, it's like that is the women in sports thing. That to me is like that's a pre and post. It's like BC AD. Every woman that I know who went from left to right, that's where they said, now I'm out. Because especially like people with daughters, they were like, no. This now you've lost me. Now I'm not voting for you.
I know. It wasn't capital gains taxes.
No.
It wasn't the corporate rate. They didn't give a shit about any of it. But the second they saw some dude whooping up on a chick in a swimming pool, they're like, now I'm out.
Yeah.
All right, Mayhem, what do you got?
Well, first up, this just in, an emboldened controversial statement. Colombia President Gustavo Petro argued that cocaine should be treated no worse than whiskey and should be sold like wine. Yeah, the remarks made by a recent international summit on drug policy have drawn widespread reactions from world leaders, health experts, and the public. And now
Well,
you guys.
cocaine, when it's not stepped on with a bunch of fentanyl and a bunch of other shit, just in its kind of pure form.
Pretty mellow.
Yeah, well, first off, if anyone's ever done good cocaine, you get it.
Right.
Like you get, this is why people love
it.
fucking cocaine. You know?
I mean, look, Sigmund Freud, we wouldn't have had his genius without it.
Yeah, and also, I got to talk to Dr. Drew about it. I will during cuddle time later on tonight on the sofa when we're watching Hitler docs.
Love it.
But, he said to me in the past that, like, for instance, heroin doesn't really hurt your body, but people hurt themselves injecting heroin.
Got it.
And they overdose and stuff. But heroin is better on your body than booze is. Booze is bad for your body.
Sure.
Heroin is not as bad for your body.
Right.
And cocaine may be some of that. So, like if you just said, look, we're going to conduct an experiment. Couple of cocktails at night versus a couple of rails. I'd say in the morning. You know what I mean? Let's switch the times up because we got a lot to do.
Yeah.
And we don't want to stay up all night. But of like pure Coke, like pharmaceutical grade, what have you, at the end of 10 years, the guy who just did the Coke would probably be in better shape than the booze
Sure.
guy.
Twin study,
Yeah.
Twin
And if
study.
we gave him like a Scrabble game to say, play the game of Scrabble with him or gave him a crossword puzzle or tried to play him in checkers, I bet the Coke guy would fare better than the booze guy.
Yeah. And with the Coke, I feel like with the Coke, you kind of see it coming. Like you could see the progressions, where with alcohol, you're just drinking, having fun, and then one day it just shuts off. You just gain 400 pounds, you lose your hair, you're divorced, your whole life's over.
Because alcoholics figured it out, which is they figured out that there's different drinks for different times of the day and even different days. So you want to drink at 10 in the morning on Sundays, you can have a mimosa.
Right.
Judgment free.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you need to drink on Saturday in the morning, you have a Bloody Mary.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You can have a couple of beers as long as there's a game on, like playing somewhere. You can turn your back to the game, but just start chugging beers. You can drink beer. So there's toasts, there's celebrations, there's every different kind of booze. Cocaine, there's no morning cocaine or no Tuesday cocaine. There's always a judgment.
Right.
There's always judgment with cocaine. But booze, as long as you're doing the right booze at the right time, you can get away with it.
Yeah. I've never done Coke. But I just wonder if I should at this point. Especially if I know it's pure and clean.
Yeah.
Why not just give it a taste?
I'm telling you, I had a friend who worked on the TV show Miami Vice.
Yeah.
And he brought good Miami Coke back from Miami when he came back to LA, and he gave it to me, and I was like, oh, this is what people are talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I've never felt better in my life.
Right.
Yeah.
You just feel good. I've never done it.
Oh, it's the best. You know what? You're in a bracket now where you could start.
Yeah,
you could. Because I've said to everyone, Coke used to be $120 a gram, and I made $9 an hour.
Right.
Now I'm rich and Coke is $40 a gram. I could definitely afford it.
Yes.
That's not a barrier to entry anymore.
Right.
Maybe after the show.
Well, let's do some Coke. Me, you, and Dr. Drew.
Health experts raise concerns, warning that a move to legalize and commercialize cocaine could lead to increased addiction rates, health crises, and social issues. Alcohol is already a significant public health challenge. And adding cocaine to the mix would create a global disaster. On the other side, there's people with decriminalization would, create, dissolve the crime networks that. Yeah,
but the thing about the syndicates and the thing about like when they talk about the groups, the organized crime in Mexico, here, wherever it is in the part of the world. They are the cartels, they're like the most fluid people in the world. You know what I mean? They go we're selling pot. And then we go, pot's legal now. And they go, human trafficking it is.
Yeah.
They just go right to human trafficking.
Right.
And no one ever goes, boss, we don't have a lot of experience. Well, get experience. Let's go.
Yeah.
And they just start selling humans. You could outlaw Havarti cheese tomorrow and it'd start coming in from Mexico 3 days later. That's how they do it. It doesn't really matter who it is or what. They'll do pot until you legalize pot, and then they'll do coke until you legalize coke, and then it's back to human trafficking.
Right.
They just make their money doing everything.
So you're saying if you want to stop human trafficking, don't legalize coke.
I'm saying every time you go, what we're going to do is we're going to decriminalize this and we're going to defund the cartels because this is how they make their money. And it's like, no. They make their money any way you can think of because what you have to do is decriminalize everything.
Right.
And then you can, teenage prostitution, fine, no problema.
Yeah.
But they find the one thing that's still decriminalized or still criminal that we want, and they go right there.
Got it.
That's exactly.
Makes sense.
I'm surprised they're not doing lawn darts. Smuggled in from Tijuana.
They might.
They probably could.
Yeah.
All right, well, here's a fun one. I haven't seen the video yet, but a viral video shows Alaska Airlines flight attendant punching screaming man who attacked a female passenger. I think let's just jump right into it.
The last
Now,
guy.
I'll just say that's proper hammer fist
doing
technique.
hammer fist?
That's a proper technique
Is
right
he
there.
elbowing or is he hammer
I
fisting?
believe there was an elbow in there, reverse elbow. But you don't want to throw it that 12 to 6, you know?
Guy's middle age.
Yeah, middle age, kind of a beefy flight attendant. Oh, this guy is having a connection.
Episode?
Yeah, a violent episode apparently. But the hammer fist released the grip.
What was
on
that
a
guy
woman.
doing? He was hitting a woman?
He was holding onto her apparently. He was having sort of a, I guess they call it like a mental breakdown or some type of a violent medical episode is what they call it. And he just was holding on to this lady, and the flight attendant came over and gave a little Randy Couture ground and pound. Hammer fisting the guy free and open.
I was on a flight once, and I'm just so happy that I was there to witness this. So I was on a flight, and it was we were sitting in it was a smaller plane, but it was the first 3 rows, and the flight attendant was really nice lady. She's in her mid-50s, very, very nice, being so sweet. And this guy who was sitting across was just like a dick. He was being a dick. You could just tell he was just annoyed by everything or whatever. So we're landing, and she is going to give the people their coats back. Sometimes people wear dress, blazers or whatever, and they hang them up for them. She's going to give it back, and she gives it back to him very nicely, and he goes, "There's a crease in this." He goes, "There's a crease in this." And then she was like, "I'm sorry, sir," whatever she said, so professional. There's a crease in this. And then she sits in her jump seat, right? We are maybe 5,000 feet still, but we're going to land in 8 minutes. So she's in her jump seat, and this guy is yelling at her, "You creased my jacket. Who's going to pay for this? Is this on American Airlines?" And I was just perfect thing. I'm so grateful I saw this. This lady took the worker. She took out of the jump seat, and she said, "This is my last day on the job. I've been working for this gentleman for 25 years." She goes, "I swear to God, sir, I will break your fucking arm." So shut the fuck up in front of all of us. She goes, "Shut the fuck up and sit there, and I will give you the information on who to complain to when we land. Do not move." And then said that, and I it was like a scene from a movie. Those 3 rows started clapping for her. Started clapping for her. And then people started letting this guy have it, "You fucking dick. You're an asshole." And then he didn't even take the information. He just got his coat and walked off the plane quick. And I was like, good shit.
Was that a flight to New York?
It was good. No, it was a small. Where were we going? I think we're going from New York to Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, famous for saying "fuck you."
Yeah, dude.
Can you imagine? I was just watching that Kevin Costner Horizon movie Part 2 where they in the wagon train.
Yeah.
Could you imagine explaining to one of those people you got a crease in your coat? You traveled 1,400 miles, but I got to fucking steam this thing out.
Yeah.
And their kids died along the way.
100%.
Dysentery.
Stabbed by Indians.
Scumbags. Yeah.
That was my plan. My plan was, I said all airports should have a guy dressed as one of the Donner Party walk around the airport. And like when someone, when they do the flight delay, it's going to be about a 40-minute flight delay. And the person's like, oh, Jesus Christ, what else could go wrong? What else could go? The Donner Party guy would be like, we had to eat our guide.
Yeah.
And we're on that godforsaken mountain for 4 months. I watched my daughter die in my arms. So you're going to take another, 22 minutes to get to Baltimore? Suck it up with the crease in the coat.
Yeah.
Why don't you head on over to the Chili's over there?
Yeah.
Drop my name. They'll give you a light beer.
Yeah.
How about that? How about
That's
that? You watch a
amazing.
little of the Lakers game. How about that?
Yeah.
Because we died on that mountain.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Donner Party guy. They have the person that plays the piano to like relax everybody.
Sure.
Have Donner Party guy.
Or you
Tattered
could-
clothes.
You could go
walking
the other
around.
direction. He like looks off into the distance and goes, "It's gonna be a long winter."
Be a long winter. He's got a human femur bone in his hand.
Yeah,
There's some meat on it. This is
Real
my
shit.
wife. This is my wife. You want to taste?
Yeah.
Go to the Chili's.
Pickle
Chill
Ball.
out.
Yeah.
Donner Party
Barbecue
guy.
sauce. All right. President Trump eliminates pennies and brings back plastic straws. Tackling ridiculous government waste.
When's the last time you dealt with a penny?
A penny?
Or
I
even
don't
a
know.
nickel? Like, I'll keep going. Like, it's a quarter.
I don't have change. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not that rich, but I go like just walk away from the change. Like, what am I going to do with it? If if I'm in the car, then it goes somewhere.
Then
but
I always put it, if I'm like at a coffee shop, it just goes in the tip.
there you go.
But
Exactly.
But you always have to give them $1
But
too.
I would just walk off from
No.
if it's $1 and change, I just go.
Yeah.
And like, quietly.
You know what's one thing I asked though? When when you do like the tips, like for things that don't need to be tipped, when it's on the screen now, everyone does like 10%. A lot of times the servers they don't get it.
they don't even get it.
They don't get it. The
Oh.
restaurant gets it. So so I
really?
don't do that anymore. Now I just give cash
Direct.
And if I don't have cash, I say I'm sorry. I'll even take a little moment and say, "What's your Venmo?" and give them that, because I did not realize they are not getting that tip a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Really?
The
I
restaurants
did not
get
know
it.
that. I always just thought it went to them.
No, you're just giving the money more restaurant. You're giving the restaurant more money.
I got a theory. I haven't seen a penny in a long time. Like, pennies are out of circulation, but now every time I turn on the TV, I see one of these Tommy Copper commercials with the copper fit elbow band and the copper fit band.
Yeah.
You think they're taking those pennies? I'm just saying.
Reappropriated?
I have not seen pennies, but I've seen 1,000 copper-infused braces now. I think they're funneling
It's
that
possible.
money into Tommy Copper.
Yeah.
I think Brett Favre is in on this. Right. If you looked at a calendar, the day I stopped seeing pennies is the day I started seeing copper fit commercials on
Makes
Fox.
sense to me.
It makes sense to me. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, then the next target is, like you said, the nickel. And the interesting part about that is that nickels cost between like 7 and 13 cents
To manufacture.
So there's a weird disconnect there that now, where do you stop? You stop at quarters?
But you know what, though? At least in the United States, it's just the change. It's just like 25 cents and under is the change. In Europe, like $1 is a coin. And I'm like, I don't want to. Yeah, dude, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live like that at all. But paper money or it's out.
I'll tell you the only advantage or use for coins anymore, and we got screwed with it, is kids think money's invisible, and so everything's like Apple Pay for them. So I've realized as I've traveled through life, as money has gotten invisible, the person that earns all the money gets zero credit because it's just invisible now.
Sure.
And so everything's just on an automatic pay, Apple Pay, whatever pay. I got the Venmo.
Yeah.
I got this app. I got that app. I got the grocery app. I got the whatever app. And I got the Amazon thing. And I'm walking around busting my ass paying for everything. And everyone's looking at me like, hey, fat ass, you're blocking the TV set. You know, we can't. And I realized it because then my daughter said to me, literally, she was complaining about that, not this and not that. I go, I bought you, I lease you a Mercedes Benz. And she goes, Mom took me to get it. And I was like,
no credit.
Yeah, because she doesn't have a job. That's what do you mean? She's getting the credit for driving you 4 miles to Glendale? I'm like, because that's when I realized what I do, which is pay, is invisible.
Right.
What mom did is at least tangible. She drove her.
I saw a stat the other day that said something about, like, it was about clothes, like the amount of outfits a person who's like just at the poverty line has is the same as like what a king and queen used to have. Like back in the day, like you would only have 10 outfits. Like even the wealthiest of the wealthy, they would not have this idea of like you're wearing all these different clothes all the time. And then it was this other stat about how many things even a person at the poverty line is paying for is the same as like what a king and queen would be paying for. It's not the same percentage of the income, but it's like Adam was saying, you right now, because money's invisible, you might be paying for 50 different things because of subscriptions and this and that, where like that was unheard of, where when you used to have to like write out your bills, you were not going to pay for as many things as the Apple subscriptions and the invisible money now. So we are spending so much more of our money, and we are so bogged down with clutter, most people, that it has a humongous impact on our psyche that, again, kings and even us, the homes that we buy, like you want to buy a 10,000 square foot home. It's like back in the day, only like lords would have that, and they would have a full staff to take care of the square footage of that house. So it's just like we're living this world, we're living in this idea where it's like, older people used to do that, the last generation, but they had servants. They didn't have, that it was about happiness. Like,
now we have delivery drivers.
Exactly.
And guys who walk straight up and hand you your coffee right at your door.
Right, but it all decreases your happiness. All of it.
Oh, all of it. But so if my kids understood change in dollar bills and paying the Grubhub guy with quarters and dollars that daddy brought home, there'd be an entire different perspective on money.
Sure.
Versus the phone thing where the chick just swipes it and we're going home.
It's a good point.
All right, Burt Ward, you know him as Robin from Batman, is waiting in Zoom Town for us. I'll give Chris a plug. The Hulu special. It's out February 21st. Right?
Yes, sir.
On Hulu. Mm-hmm. Where'd you shoot it, by the way?
I shot it in Tarrytown, New York, Westchester.
It looks amazing.
Thank you.
The trailer's up now.
Trailer's up now. It's one comic a month. Hulu picked one comic a month, and I'm blessed that they gave me Black History Month.
Live shows. And if you go to chrisdcomedy.com, that's where all the dates are.
All the dates are the big one, September 11, 2025, Madison Square Garden. That's the big one.
Always good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, boys.
We'll take a quick break. Back with Burt Ward right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Bam! You know the song, right? Mm-hmm. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service and all the parts and knowledge you need to maintain and repair your automobile. Always been an O'Reilly guy. Used to go to the one out in North Hollywood when I was over there. Then I moved to La Crescenta. Went to the one up on Foothill. Still swing by there every once in a while because I'm a hands-on guy. So whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best off, they're friendly because some of those auto parts guys can be a little tough around the edges. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today, or you can visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
I took a cute girl named Debbie in Manova to see Billy Jack at my small town theater when it came out. Not only was it a shitty movie, but when I got home, I found out my grandpa had died. So, fuck you, Billy Jack. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Burt Ward has joined us, most famously from Robin, Batman and Robin. I got a lot of thoughts. I see him now. He's got the Gentle Giant's dog food. I got a giant dog, Burt, so maybe I could benefit from some of
Phil,
food.
I understand his name is.
Phil's big. I love a big dog. And I don't like the little dogs. I always had a fantasy about having a big dog when I was a kid. I never got one. But then I became an adult and I got Phil.
There you go.
I got to tell you real quick that Phil would be a medium-sized dog, but he's very well fed. He's a tank.
He'll eat anything that's not anything below 42 inches. He will eat. Burt, I believe, and so much to get into. Okay, first things first. Batman, 3 seasons, 120 episodes, which is 40 episodes a season.
It worked out to be 120. I think the last third year was a half a season that made it to 120. Would have been more if we had the other half.
So how many episodes would you do a season back then?
Well, let's see. It would depend. It could be 26 to 35, something like that.
God, because now people get picked up for 6 episodes or 8 episodes. They don't get 35 episodes anymore.
Right. And ours was a very complex show to shoot. We had a very huge crew of about 80 guys instead of the average of about 30 because there were so many special effects. Where did you shoot that show? Desi Lou Culver. At the time, 20th Century Fox, that was the producer of the show, they were full. Their lot was full with a whole bunch of shows, Lost in Space, a bunch of other shows. So we were over at Desi Lou Culver on Washington Boulevard. How did you were young when you got that role. Yeah. How did that come about? I had been studying acting professionally, and also I was going to UCLA. And my father was a prominent real estate broker in Beverly Hills. On the weekend, I would, go out and help him by, being on some of the open houses, let people in. And it turned out that a famous producer, Saul David, came in to look at a house. I asked him if he would do a scene. He was kind of shocked. And he said, yeah. And I did an improvisation for him. And he said, that's pretty darn good. Let me send you to an agent. Went to the agent who told me I can't get work for the guys that I've already represent. I would never take anybody new. But because this producer recommended you, I'm stuck. But don't expect to work for a year. And if you do, you might get one line. And I said, okay. So I left, and a couple of weeks later, someone from his office called and said, there's something going over at 20th Century Fox. We got a drive on for you. And I said, oh, great. What is it? They said, we don't know. They'd just seen a bunch of young guys. I went over the next day and went to see a casting director who said, hey, would you like to meet the executive producer? And Adam, I figured everybody got to meet the executive producer because I'd never been on an interview before, even though I'd been studying for years. But of course, that's not true. You don't always get to meet the executive producer. I went to another bungalow. I met William Dozier, and I guess maybe because I wasn't damaged by being turned down for a bunch of different jobs, I walked right in. I shook his hand firmly, said, hello, sir. And he said, oh, my gosh. And he looked at me and said, you're kind of big for the part. I said, I promise you I won't grow anymore. And he laughed. And we had talked for a couple of minutes, and he asked if I'd like to do a screen test. And I said, sure. I mean, I figured everybody got to do a screen test, right? That's not the way it really is. So I got the screen test. I was a martial artist, and I did some stuff. I broke a board with my hand and did some judo. And then I was introduced to the person I was reading with, which was Adam West. And in 5 minutes of talking to him, the two of us were laughing. We never stopped laughing for 50 years. We were really good friends, which is incredibly unusual.
Yeah, there's something, and I'm very proud of it. And I'll brag. I don't like to brag, but I'll brag. When people don't understand this, when you have a kind of partner in show business, there's something about the alchemy of show business where it always goes south. And every girl band starts off as we're sisters for life, and then they get some success. And then Rolling Stone shows up and they go, we want to take a picture of the Go-Go's, but we just want Belinda for the cover. And then the other chicks get pissed. And then it breaks up, and then it goes south. Every comedy team breaks up. I'm here to tell you that when my house went up in the fire, or at least the neighborhood went up in the fire, and I was displaced, the first call I got was from Jimmy Kimmel asking if I wanted to stay with him. The second call I got was from Dr. Drew asking me if I want to stay with him. And last night, I was sitting on Dr. Drew's sofa because I'm camping out at his house now. And my third partner, Skip Bedell from Catch a Contractor, called me. And he's just like, I'm just checking in. Miss you, brother. We need to hang out a little more next time and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I'm happy to say that all my partners I'm on very good terms with years on. It takes a little work sometimes, but it's doable. It should be that way. It doesn't have to all be Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, my wife and I are big fans of yours.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, we've listened to a lot of your podcasts, and I saw you yesterday on Fox. And of course, you're on Greg Gutfeld all the time.
Well, I wanted to ask you because it's been bouncing around my head for a long time. I have a vague recollection, but you tell me. I think you came out with a book. Yeah. I think that book would have come out circa 94, 95.
96.
Oh, sorry. Okay, 96. I have a recollection of being at K-Rock for Kevin and Bean on the morning show. Yeah. Jimmy Kimmel was there at the time. I don't know if you remember Jimmy Kimmel being there at the time.
No, I don't.
Because people go, how come you don't remember Jimmy Kimmel? Because Jimmy Kimmel wasn't Jimmy Kimmel. He was just the dude who let me in and got me the coffee and was doing the sports. So why would you remember who that guy was? I was there. Kimmel was there. Must have been early 96 as I recall. But either way, Burt Ward was coming by. And I think the big story of the book was that his package, his groin was too big for the undershorts he was wearing.
I remember that.
as Robin. I think that was the big headline from that book. Now, that's all I got for memory. Am I correct?
Well, you are correct, but that wasn't the only thing.
Well, not the only.
I mean, after all, crime fighters are bigger than life.
That's what Kevin and Bean chose to discuss that morning. That's what I recall. Is that
what you call them? Crime fighters down there?
That's a true story, right?
Yep.
And that was in the book. I just want to make sure I'm not going insane. Well, now you work with big dogs.
We work with big dogs and little dogs. Actually, it's our charity. My wife and I, for the last 31 years, have rescued more than 15,500 dogs and 350 cats. Everyone would have been put to death.
Oh, wow.
And in the course of doing that, I mean, we are very unique in the sense that all of our animals live in our house communally with us. So at any given time, we have about 50 dogs. As you can see in the photo behind me, that's not photoshopped. On our website, gentlegiantsdogfood.com, if you go to the website, the first thing you see is an 11-minute full-screen video of all these dogs moving around. And it's our charity, and we've rescued these dogs. And because dogs live a very short life, as I'm sure you know, Adam, my wife and I have decided, and it's made it our life's work to help them live longer and healthier. And I'll be honest with you, we are, to my knowledge, the only ones in the world that with our technology and with the unique food that is different from every other dog food, we have dogs living up to and over 30 years of age. No one else can do it.
Really? And so let's break down that game film. Obviously, you got to start the diet young if you're going over 30. You can't start at 28 and a half.
No, actually, I don't mean to interrupt you, but let me just say this. We had someone that brought us because again, we're rescued, brought us a Russian wolfhound. A Russian wolfhound, like an Irish wolfhound, is a giant breed dog. Their traditional lifespan is 7 to 9 years. They brought us this dog at 11. The dog was very old, and they thought the dog was going to die at their house, and they didn't want the dog to die at their house. Better that should die at our house. And they brought us this beautiful Russian wolfhound. Her name was Tara. And we put her on our food. We put her on our feeding and care program. And then she was 11. At 25 years of age, Inside Edition, the television show, came out and spent an entire day filming her, created a segment on their show called Could This Be the Oldest Living Pooch in the World? And she ultimately lived to 27 and a half years of age.
Really?
It does make a difference. And the reason for this, Adam, if you want to really know the difference,
yes.
It's funny, when you were on Jesse Waters yesterday, you made a comment about food and about how, food is not so healthy. Well, if you think it's bad for humans, multiply that to dogs. Because something that you probably don't know, regardless of what you're feeding, unless you're feeding our food, every pet food company knows something the average person doesn't know, which is the more fat content you put in the dog food, the hungrier it makes the dog. It actually affects their brain to eat more for the purpose of you having to buy more dog food. And the way you can test what I'm saying is when you get home or you get around Phil, go feel if you're feeding a kibble, rub some of that kibble in your fingers for 4 or 5 seconds. You're going to feel a slightly greasy feeling because that's animal fat that was sprayed. And just like you wouldn't put bacon grease or turkey grease down your garbage disposal because it would ruin it, why would anybody feed an animal a food that every single kibble, every single bite that dog takes is encapsulated in animal fat? It clogs their arteries, it clogs their intestines, it shortens their life.
Wow. And obviously you're self-taught. And by the way, that's not a slight. The people that know the most are sort of self-taught,
Well, Adam, let me tell you, if you live, just imagine, and you got a good imagination, imagine you had 50, not 15, 50 dogs in your house 24/7. Okay, that means no Sundays off, no holidays, no vacations, and you had them in your house 24/7 for 31 years. Don't you think you'd have learned something?
Listen, I would tell people all the time, back to the aforementioned Dr. Drew, they would go, when we would do Loveline, they would go, well, Dr. Drew's a doctor, so he's an expert. Well, what do you, why do you know so much, Adam? You don't know anything. I said, well, listen, for 2 hours a night, for over a decade, I talk to teenagers. And when you talk to teenagers as your job for 2 hours a night, every night for 10 years, then you become an expert. Yep. And then I would say, I am a journeyman carpenter who's capable of building a house. I've never read a book on building a house, but I worked on a construction site for 10 years, and now I know how to build a house. So you don't need to get certified or read a book or a manual on everything. You can just live it.
Exactly.
And that's what I do with houses and teenagers and what you do with giant dogs.
Yeah, all dogs.
All dogs.
We're known for the big ones because, but we also have dogs that are so small you wouldn't believe. An average Chihuahua weighs about 6 pounds. We have Chinese cresteds here that are 1/3 the size of a Chihuahua. At an adult, they weigh 2 pounds. Wow. So we go from 2 pounds to our biggest dogs, which are over 300 pounds. Most people, Adam, have never seen a 200-pound dog, much less a 300-pound dog.
What breed is that?
What is that? Yeah.
That would be a giant Great Dane. We have, I have a photo. I don't know if I was able to do it. I could always send it to if you wanted to put it in, an image of my wife standing with one of our dogs who's 7 feet, 5.5 inches tall. He's 4 inches taller than Shaquille O'Neal. Wow. Okay, I mean, that's how big that dog is. And he's standing up with his paws on my wife's shoulders, and the weight just of his paws is so great she has to put her hands under there because it would just brush her down into the ground. That they could be incredible. They're like small horses. In fact, our biggest dog was named Avalanche. Okay. He was 45.5 inches at the back when he's standing on all 4 legs, which means if you went over to your kitchen counter, his lowest part of his back would be 5.5 inches above your kitchen counter. And he used to lean way down to drink from the kitchen faucet.
Kitchen counter height is 36 inches. So
I thought it was 40.
Now, remember the building part. 36 is a standard kitchen height, 32 probably in the bathroom. Wow, we've seen the picture of your wife.
See the picture. What a monster.
Yeah, that's Sammy there. That's Sammy right there.
That's crazy. I love a big dog.
My question about it is, all right, how do you work out like the squabbles that naturally happen with dogs when it's 50 of them? Like, I'm just shocked right now. Like, how about introducing a new one into the ecosystem? Isn't there a little bit of dust ups?
We did that every week. We had to do that every week. When you're rescuing, the only way you can keep rescuing is to adopt the dogs you have so you can take new ones in, because we have a limit. We can't take over our limit. And in terms, I'll tell you what is the biggest challenge. There's a video on our website, gentlegiantsdogfood.com, of where we let the dogs out in one area. We don't let all of them out, but most of them out. And they're all standing shoulder to shoulder eating next to each other. Now, that is the greatest challenge when they're eating. And they all get along. Our dogs, because we train them. We're expert trainers.
What part of the country are you in California? And like, do you have some acreage?
We're about an hour and a half from you. We're in a suburb of Riverside called Norco, North Corona. Yeah. They're halfway between LA and Palm Springs.
Yeah, I know. I've heard of that. And
it's animal friendly. That's why we're able to do it. I mean, you see very unique animals in the city, like emus and llamas and people riding camels. I mean, it's an incredibly animal friendly community.
Were you able? I've read a little bit about you, and it's a story as old as time. You're on the super popular TV show, #1 TV show, but you don't get paid, right?
Yeah, well, we got paid weekly, very weekly.
So you're out there doing your own stunts, putting yourself in harm's way, and they figured out a way not to pay you. But there's other ways you can make money. You can get paid writing a book, right? Or using your name or doing right.
Well, actually, the best thing was making personal appearances, and ultimately, over time, having personalized autographs became a great source of income. When I was doing the series on Batman, because it was my first show, I took union scale. I was getting paid a whopping $350 a week. Second season, it made the big jump up to $450 a week, and the third season is when I made the killing at $600 a week.
Right. But it wasn't Favorite Nations, because Adam West was was a name back then, right?
Oh, yeah. He'd done a bunch of stuff, and I think he got paid like 10 times what I got. But that was okay. Can I tell you, it was an amazing opportunity. I had the greatest time. I mean, and it was just it was an incredible experience. Our show was #1 and #2 in the entire world when it came out on January 12th, 1966. And, it was sold in reruns. By the way, in reruns, they normally buy a season or two. Batman was so popular, it was sold in blocks, in reruns of 25-year blocks. So a station wanting to run Batman in reruns had to buy it for 25 years.
Was everybody's tongue planted in their cheek? Did you know you were doing sort of campy stuff? How seriously was everyone taking it? Because when you watch it, you go, oh, it's farcical, but it's also, action and intrigue and what have you. Did you guys know what you were doing and how it was being absorbed and digested by the viewers?
Right. As a comic, it's a lot harder to make people laugh than to make them cry. So on Batman, we had to play to a huge audience. We had a kid audience that, superhero worship. I mean, who wouldn't want to ride in the Batmobile, climb walls, fight heinous villains, But for the adults, it was the nostalgia of the comic book. But at that time, and this is before I think you were born, that the big thing was driving around on Friday and Saturday night at the outside, restaurants, drive-ins. And the college kids and the high schoolers, nobody wanted to watch television at that time. I mean, they would do anything other than watch TV. But Batman became a huge hit at the universities and for teenagers because of the double meanings, which Adam and I suggested and put into the show. So no matter what we did, and Adam was, I love that guy. He was probably the funniest one of the funniest I've ever met in my life. He just had a way of saying things. And, you talk about things that are kind of risque. Well, I remember Norm Prescott, who was the president of Filmation. We did a animated series. He came up to me one time. He says, your partner there, Adam, he says, let me tell you about Adam. He says, he's the only person I ever met in my entire life that everything he said had a sexual connotation to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the folks at Family Guy knew he was funny.
Yeah.
And, and understood the chops, even though, in a weird way, I guess it was sort of, it took a while, but like movies like Airplane and Naked Gun sort of caught on to that. Let's have serious guys saying unserious things in a serious way. And like, it's literally, but he was kind of, Adam West was early money on that sort of a heavy saying things that were, doing the Batusi.
Exactly.
Well, Burt, let me give you a plug. I've seen your commercials, and I appreciate your passion. GentleGiantsDogFood.com, but any size dog may apply, right?
Right. And our cat food, GentleGiantsCatFood.com. We've had cats live up to 31 and 32 years on our food as well. It's all about a combination of three things. And you might consider this in caring for Phil. It's not just the food. It's three things. It's how you care for your dog, how you feed your dog. For example, 99% of the world feeds their dogs twice a day. We don't do that because their bodies burn out much too fast. We feed every dog here a minimum of 5 times a day.
Oh,
Smaller,
really?
more frequent meals.
Oh, man.
Elevated food and water stands. All of that, feeding, care, and food.
Combination 5 times a day, and you say the elevated stand.
Elevated so they never lean down. Let me just explain something to you. Most dogs die of cancer, and that's because of the insecticides in the food, which, by the way, everybody talks about, they won't spray as much insecticide. Okay, well, let me just finish up and say this. In a nutshell, the pesticides that are now built in the DNA of food releases their own pesticide when a bug bites them, even without spraying a pesticide on it. But those three things together, that combines to add years to your dog's life.
Once again, GentleGiantsDogFood.com. Burt, always great to speak to you, my friend.
Well, thank you, Adam. My wife and I will continue to follow you on TV and radio. You're a very talented gentleman. And as we said on Batman, to the Batmobile!
All right. I'm going to be in Torrance on Saturday at the end doing stand-up there. Fun rock and roll crowd out there. San Luis Obispo, Monterey, Napa, all coming up basically end of the month, beginning of March. Chris DiStefano, Hulu, Feb 21st, you can see his very funny special there. And until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Mayhem and Chris DiStefano and Burt Ward saying mahalo.